Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. So today I'm coming to you with another book haul, and I know I said I was hoping my last one would be the last one of the year. And obviously I was wrong, but honestly, who was putting any bets on me actually not buying more books? So part of the reason for this book haul is because I have a bit of a life update. I am actually leaving my job as a bookseller at Indigo Books and Music, so that's one of the big book chains in Canada. I do live in Canada if you did not know. So I was working there as a bookseller, helping people find books and that kind of thing. And so I recently left that job. I was kind of not working there for most of quarantine because a lot of the stores kind of shut down. And so after the stores kind of reopened, I decided to leave that job because I am working full-time at a publisher in Canada at the moment. So it was kind of hard to juggle both at the same time while also doing YouTube. So I decided to leave that job. So that also meant I was gonna lose my discount on books at the bookstore. So I decided to bite the bullet and finally buy all the books that I've been meaning to get for quite a while now, that have been on my wish list and that kind of thing. So half the books in this book haul are books that I bought with my discount from Indigo, but the rest of them are all books that were sent to me by publishers or ARCs or that kind of thing. The usual stuff you guys know. And then I also do have some Owl Crate editions as well. But yes, that's enough of an intro, so let's just jump right into the books. Also, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I colored my hair over the weekend and I'm very happy with it. But let me know what you think of my new hair. Alright, the first book that I'm hauling today is one that I bought, and it's called Legendborn by Tracy Dion. And guys, I have heard so many amazing things about this, and actually the reason I picked this up was because I asked people to tell me, you know, something that brought them joy in a caption of one of my Instagram posts. So Micah, who is a wonderful booktuber, and you should definitely go check out her channel, I will leave it linked somewhere on the screen or in the description. So she commented and said that she was still getting over Legendborn and that it was amazing, and then someone else commented in reply to that, and the whole exchange just got me super excited about this book. So I literally like added it to my cart right after that interaction, and so I bought it, and I'm super excited about it because it has a black main character and it is a retelling of the Arthurian legend, so King Arthur, the Round Table, that kind of thing, but I think in our modern day, and it involves this like secret society called Legendborn and a character named Merlin, and it's also a contemporary fantasy, so it involves like a bit of magic as well, and there are demon creatures that the Legendborn hunt and kill. And from what I know, I believe the main character is trying to infiltrate the secret society of the Legendborn and trying to take it down from the inside, which is just super cool. And I've been craving like urban fantasy, contemporary fantasy for so long, and I've been waiting for something like this to show up, like something with a POC main character and with creatures that people are hunting. Like, I just love that kind of fantasy, the urban fantasies, you know, stuff like The Mortal Instruments, or even like This Savage Song, which has monsters, but like it's set in our real world, kind of a version of our real world. So I'm super excited about this, and I just cannot wait for it. Like, it's one of my favorite genres. And obviously, if you have read any of the books on this haul, please comment below what you thought of them, because I'm so excited for so many of these and I need to know what to read first. All right, the next book that I bought is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. If you guys don't know, I am a huge fan of the Aragon inheritance cycle, and it was like one of my favorite series growing up, and I know a lot of people like love to hate on it sometimes, I'm not sure, but I just love that series so much. I love the concept of dragons, like I loved fantasy as a kid, and I thought it was so cool that the author had written that book when he was like 19 or something, and it became kind of a sensation when I was younger. So this is Christopher Paolini's first book after the inheritance cycle and after that kind of like little short story collection that he did about it, and this is actually a sci-fi. It is a whopper of a book, which is not unexpected for Christopher Paolini, because if you have seen the inheritance cycle books, then you know they're all ginormous, but I always loved those books and like devoured them, and there was something about his world building where it was so intricate, and there was a lot of things that were foreshadowed from the beginning that you later find out. So I have very high expectations for this, and I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint. It is a little bit different from the inheritance cycle because it is a sci-fi, but I honestly just don't know anything about this so far, and I kind of want to keep it that way. I just want to jump in and be wowed. But I do believe it involves some space travel, some aliens, and a female main character, which I think is interesting. So we'll see how it goes. And I obviously bought the signed edition because I just couldn't resist. It was the same price as the regular edition, and I don't think I ever got any of the inheritance cycle signed So I was like, why not? The next book that I bought is Court of Lions by Somaya Dowd. This is actually the sequel to Mirage by Somaya Dowd. This is a book that came out, I think, last year. It is like a genre-bending sci-fi fantasy book. It feels like a fantasy, but it's actually a bit of a sci-fi. It involves like one race of people on a different planet colonizing another race of people on a different planet, and the main character is this girl who looks exactly like the crown princess of these colonizers, and so she is kidnapped and taken to become a body double for that princess, because that princess has a lot of people after her throat because she's kind of vicious. And so it's these two girls and their kind of relationship, but also the main character falling for someone else in the book, and it's quite interesting. And although it wasn't my favorite book, I really was interested by the world and where it was gonna go, so that's why I decided to buy the second book. I love the new covers that they've done. By the way, this is like the original version, but the second book and the new paperback for Mirage both have these illustrated covers with the main characters on the front, which I think is just gorgeous. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the series goes in this book, and they're both relatively short books, and I remember ripping through this one quite quickly, so excited to see where this goes. All right, the next 4 books on this haul were sent to me by the Epic Reads team at HarperCollins. So if you don't know, I have a series on the Epic Reads channel where I recommend a bunch of books based on a certain theme each month, and that's called #EpicBookRec. So I always have it linked down below in my description if you want to go check it out. There's like a whole playlist of recommendation videos, so if you ever need a recommendation, go check out that series, because I've literally recommended like so many books, like hundreds of books over the course of that series. Like I think we're on episode 18 or 19 or something, and each one has a different theme. Some of them are genre-based, some of them are like just a random aspect of a book, and I basically love every book that I've recommended on there, so go check those out. But yes, the first book that Epic Reads sent me was Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin, and if you don't know, this is the sequel to Servant and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. So this is a book that came out I think last year or the year before, and it is a fantasy kind of romance between a witch and a witch hunter, which I thought was just a fun concept. And the two main characters are very kind of opposing characters. One is kind of very straight-laced and a witch hunter. The other one is this rambunctious witch named Louise who is on the run, and I just really liked the romance in this. I thought it was like really nicely developed throughout the book, so I was really excited to see where the series was gonna go. And the second book has come out now, and I love this cover, by the way, like it's so gorgeous. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen in this book. The ending of this one was quite killer. There's a lot of things that are revealed at the end of this one, and I just overall enjoyed the fantasy world, so I'm excited to see where it goes in this one, and I'm sure I'm gonna have my heart kind of ripped out. I actually don't know if this is the last book in the series or if there's gonna be another one, so if anyone knows, let me know. All right, the next book that they sent me is Iron Heart by Nina Varela, and this is the sequel to Crier's War by Nina Varela. So this is another fantasy book that I think came out last year or this year, at the beginning of the year. I honestly can't remember, but this is kind of a fantasy slash sort of sci-fi where there are these creatures called automatas who have been created by humans, and they're kind of artificial humans, but at some point they kind of gained dominance and kind of took over the country and have gained dominance over humans, and so now humans are these subclass. And so this follows our main character Isla, who's this like human servant, and her family was killed by the automata, so she is determined to infiltrate the palace and kill the daughter of the, I think, general or like the leader of the country, the automata, and that daughter's name is Crier, and she's a princess, and so Isla is determined to murder this princess, but along the way she ends up kind of falling for her, and it's like this whole crazy situation. I think I had some mixed feelings about this book, to be honest, but I really did enjoy Crier's character. She is an automata, and throughout the book she's kind of questioning her humanity and what makes her an automata, and all these like really deep questions that I really enjoyed. So although I didn't overall love this, I really liked her character, and so I'm excited to see where the story goes in Iron Heart. And the ending of this book was quite killer as well, so there's a lot of things left open to explore in this one. All right, the next book that was sent to me is Punching the Air by Ibi Zaboy and Yusuf Salam, who is one of the Exonerated Five. So if you don't know, the Exonerated Five were this group of black and brown boys who were convicted of gang raping a girl, I believe, but after serving their sentence, way after the case ended, it was revealed that they didn't actually do the crime, but they were kind of convicted on very little evidence because of the kind of very flawed law system. And so this is a book with a kind of similar situation, but it's told in verse, which I think is really interesting. And it is following a boy who is wrongfully convicted of a crime that he didn't commit. And I'm honestly just so interested by this book, and I cannot wait to pick it up. I think it's gonna be a very powerful read in the vein of like Jason Reynolds. So I am like ready to get my heart ripped out, basically. All right, the next book that I have here is Early Departures by Justin A. Reynolds. And this is actually the author of Opposite of Always, which is a book that I read, I think last year, and it is a contemporary. I don't have the book anymore, but it follows this main character whose girlfriend is about to die. And so he's going back in time multiple times to kind of save her, and every time he is failing. And it was this really interesting situation where he's trying to live his life kind of differently each time and finding the difficulties in that. And so this book is quite similar. The main character, Jamal, has his best friend named Q, and Q is dying, or is dead, I think, at the beginning of the book. But Jamal gets this opportunity where there's this new technology that can reanimate Q for some time and bring him back to life, basically. But after he's reanimated, he will die forever. Like, he can't be brought back again. And so Jamal is kind of using this opportunity, I guess, to be with his friend one last time. And there's also this element of like their friendship having deteriorated right before Q's death, and so he's trying to repair that relationship. Okay, next I have a few finished copies that I finally bit the bullet and bought. I had arcs of both of these books before, and I decided I wanted the finished copies because I love both of these books so much. So the first of those books is Frankly in Love by David Yoon, and this is a contemporary book with a Korean American main character, and it involves this fake dating situation where Frank is dating this white girl at his school, and in order to continue dating her, because his parents are totally against him dating outside of his race, he puts on this charade with his Korean American friend named Joy, I believe. They start to fake date basically for his parents' benefit so that he can continue dating this other girl. Joy also has like her own boyfriend who is not Korean as well, but the situation kind of gets sticky when Joy and Frank start to develop feelings for each other. But that's kind of like the top line, like storyline, plot line of this book. But the real crux of the story is Frank kind of dealing with his Korean American identity, feeling the tension between being American and being Korean, and, you know, the pressures of his parents and his relationship with his father. And it is such a sweet and heartwarming book. And I just loved hearing from Frank as a character, and I connected with him in so many ways. And so it was actually one of my favorite books of last year, and I just felt so many of the things that Frank was feeling. So I love this book to pieces, and the original hardcover has these blue sprayed pages, which I absolutely love. So I wanted to make sure that I got this edition before they went out of print. So glad I got this, and yeah, I highly recommend go pick this book up. The other finished copy that I grabbed was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So I did have an arc of this, and I really did enjoy this book. Like I was saying before with Legendborn, I love contemporary fantasies or like urban fantasies, books where, you know, it's set in the real world, but there is like this undercurrent of the supernatural going on. Especially love it when like someone's hunting something. Both this and Legendborn give me Buffy vibes, which is a show that I absolutely love. So this is not quite as funny as Buffy, but it is quite interesting, and it does have like underlying themes of sexual assault and the way girls are treated in, you know, college settings and that kind of thing. It was overall just really interesting, and I'm so excited to see where this goes in the next book in the series, because like there's a plot twist towards the end that was just mind-blowing. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I will say this starts off quite slow. It is an adult fantasy, so it is slower in that way, but I just really enjoyed it, and I am so excited to see what Leigh Bardugo has in store for us for the next book. Next, I have a couple books that were sent to me by Penguin Teen. So the first is the paperback version of Frankly in Love, which has this new illustrated cover, and it's pink, and it's just so cute. I absolutely love it. And then the other book that Penguin Teen sent me is an arc of Super Fake Love Song by David Yoon. So this is David Yoon's next YA book, and this similarly follows a Korean American main character. But in this book, the main character Sunny is kind of pining after this girl named Cirrus at his school, who is like the super self-confident girl. And so when they end up in this situation where she mistakes him for owning a bunch of like band stuff, he kind of lies that he is the front man of a rock band. And so he has to put on this lie and like this scheme of, you know, pretending he is the lead of a band. But because of this whole scheme, people start to notice him a lot more at school, and he is thrown into the limelight. And I'm just really interested to see where this is gonna kind of go. I feel like it's gonna give me a lot of the same vibes as Frankly in Love, and I'm really excited for that. I think David Yoon has a really great voice, and it kind of reminds me of John Green, but like better, so I'm excited. All right, the next few books I bought myself, and these are ones that I decided to kind of pick up because I really was feeling spooky season coming on. It was like right at the beginning of September when it got colder, and then I was like, oh my god, like I could use a like gothic romance, or I could go for something ghostly, and so I started buying a bunch of spooky books, and one of those is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I actually own a copy of this book already. It is one of my favorite classics, but the copy I own I spilt nail polish remover on ages ago, and so I wanted one that did not smell like nail polish remover, so I decided to get this cute edition from Vintage Classics. I have a few Jane Austen novels in the Vintage Classics editions, so I really wanted to get this one, and I think it's just so spooky and cool. But yeah, I love this book. It's a great classic, and it has some really great gothic vibes, perfect for spooky season, so highly recommend you pick it up. But yeah, I was just like feeling this moment where I just wanted to drop all the books that I was reading currently and just pick this up. And then I also picked up two of Victoria Schwab's middle grade books, and they are City of Ghosts and Tunnel of Bones. So these are both part of the Cassidy Blake series, I think that's what it's called. But it's about this young girl named Cass who can see ghosts, and her family are like running a TV show, I think. Yeah, they host a TV show where they explore the most haunted places in the world. And so in this first book, they go off to Edinburgh, and Cass is kind of rolling her eyes because she can actually see ghosts, but her parents are just kind of faking it, I think. But yes, this seems like it's gonna be a really cute kind of middle grade, but also kind of spooky, which I absolutely love, and I think it's just gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm hoping to pick these up in October sometime soon. And then I was also feeling like picking up a spooky romance, so I picked up Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. I've heard a lot about this series before, and I know it involves fae, but in like kind of a spookier way, and it's a bit more like supernatural. It involves some Welsh mythology as well, but it is also a romance, so I'm excited for that. And I just kind of felt like picking up something like this. As I said, I love kind of slightly supernatural stuff, and also when there's a romance in it. So, and then I also picked up another mass market romance book, and that is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I've heard a lot of things about Jasmine Guillory before, like in the chick lit kind of romance space, and I've seen this cover around so many times, so I thought I would just kind of pick it up. And this involves these two characters who end up going to a wedding together. It was kind of this weird situation where they decide to go to a wedding together, but they end up having way more fun than they thought they would, and the romance kind of develops from there. Yeah, it was kind of a spontaneous date that they make while stuck in an elevator, it seems. All right, next I picked up the Compendium for Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. So if you don't know, this is a graphic novel series. It's a sci-fi graphic novel series, very adult. It has some like really graphic scenes in it, both in violence and in like sexual content, but it is such a fun series. It involves these two characters who are from these two different alien races, and they end up falling in love. It's kind of this Romeo and Juliet situation, but they end up having a child, and so they are running from, you know, both of their governments with their child that should not exist, and it is told from the perspective of that child, and she's kind of relaying these stories and things that have happened from her life as she was growing up in this very weird situation. But this has like a really large cast of characters and some really crazy things going on, and it is just absolutely hilarious as well. So if you wanted something funny to pick up and a graphic novel series to start, I would definitely recommend this one. But yeah, I read Saga back in university in like first year or something, and I absolutely loved it, and I was following along with it as it was coming out. But the authors have taken a kind of hiatus on the series at the moment, so they're planning to continue one day, but at the moment they're on a break. So this compendium has the entire series from beginning to end up to the hiatus, and I'm just really darn excited by it. And I also kind of wanted to reread it as well, so I thought the compendium was a great idea. All right, and then I have a couple Owl Crate editions that I got in the newest Owl Crate boxes. So in, I think, the July box, I got Goddess in the Machine by Laura Beth Johnson. Unfortunately, my footage for this unboxing got corrupted, so I cannot post this unboxing for you guys, and I'm kind of really sad about that. But I got some really great things in that box, and I'll try to showcase them in other videos as well. But this is a kind of sci-fi fantasy, and it involves this girl who is put in cryogenic sleep, and she's awakened like centuries later, and the people who awaken her think she is some sort of goddess in a machine, and they don't really know about this like distant past that she's from. And so it's a sci-fi that kind of becomes a fantasy, and I think it's going to be a really interesting book, and it has these really pretty gold edges. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the Owl Crate edition. And then in the August Owl Crate box, there was Star Daughter by Shweta Thakkar. I actually already have a copy of this book, but this is the Owl Crate edition, and it has purple sprayed pages, which just gives me life. I love purple, and this is just the most gorgeous edition of a book that I've gotten. But this is a book inspired by Hindu mythology and also kind of celestial magic, and also reminiscent of Stardust by Neil Gaiman, and it involves this girl who is half a star and half human, and she ends up traveling to the heavens to compete in this competition for who gets to rule the heavens next. And I'm actually currently reading this at the moment, so I'm excited to see where it goes. Alright, and the last set of books that I have here were all sent to me by Inkard Press, so thank you so much to them. And it is the entire Ace of Shades series by Amanda Foody. So the third book, Queen of Bolts, just came out, so they sent me all 3 books in preparation for that. And I'm really actually excited to read these because I've seen Emma from Emma Books rave about these so many times, so I'm excited to try these out. But all I really know about this is that it involves some like gambling, and it's set in this city of sin. It's this like kind of fantasy world, and it kind of gives me like Six of Crows vibes in the sense of like the barrel and the unseedy underbelly of Kirch. So I'm interested by this. If any of you have read this, please let me know what you thought of this series. I'd love to pick it up. Alright, but those are all the books that I wanted to haul today, and as per usual, please let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books or if you're planning to read them, and which ones you think I should pick up first. There's so many on this book haul that I am so excited for. Like Legend Board, I think is my top. Like I really want to pick that up next. But yeah, and I also talked a lot about how I really like contemporary fantasy, so if you guys know any other contemporary fantasies that are really good, leave them down below for me to pick up, because I love it when you guys give me book recs. But yeah, that's about all I have for this video. So go follow me on Instagram, thisstoryaintover, and Twitter, thisstoryaintover, if you want to get regular updates on my reading, because I do update those quite often, and my Goodreads as well, if you want to know what I'm currently reading like all the time, because that's where I track all my reading. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. So please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!